Okay, it seems that even a lot of long-term and professional users of Anime Studio are not fully acquainted with everything that the style window does or how it's supposed to work. This is a quick tutorial to try to explain all the features so that hopefully everybody can get on the same page. The most important thing to notice about the style windows is this header just underneath the shapes and styles drop down at the top. Here it says defaults for new shapes. What this means is that these attributes that are shown here are what will be applied to any new shapes you create. So if I go and create a shape, it's white with a black outline with a line width of 4. If I change that, then it's got a green fill, so on and so forth. Now these defaults for new shapes changes depending on what you've last had selected. If I select a shape and this header changes to shape to show I've selected it so that it's ready for editing, it will show me the attributes of that shape, and then if I deselect it, it will leave those attributes as the new defaults for new shapes. If I select a different shape, it'll do the same thing, show me the attributes for editing that shape. If I deselect it, it will leave those attributes so that I can use them for the next shape I create. Just like so. So the next thing to notice is the shapes drop down. So if I have a couple of shapes and I have automatic shape naming on, so it automatically names them for me, so it will show up in this list. I can select shapes according to this. I can change the shape, and that way you can see how my attributes change as the shape selection changes. But the important thing to notice is that as long as this header says shape, there is a shape in the workspace selected, and these attributes are what is currently applied to that shape. So now let's go, and I think everybody's familiar with how to make a new style. Go to the styles drop down and see I've already got a style 1. If I hit delete unused, it'll disappear because I haven't applied it to anything. If I select new, then it will automatically give me a name. It automatically starts out with whatever style you already had as the default for new shapes, because that remains there depending on the last shape you've selected. So I'll go in here and change a few things. And then you notice as I hit enter to finalize it, it goes ahead and checks all 3 of the includes. Now what these are in a style means this is what the style defines. It defines a fill, a line color, and a line width. If I uncheck those, then it will only change, if applied, it will only alter the fill of a shape. Or conversely, it can only alter the line width or the stroke or any combination thereof. So I can go and select none. Then if I select a shape and apply style 1, then there we have all the attributes, which if I go and select style 1, you will see that all the attributes match everything I've done here. Now if I change this, I can turn off the fill defined by the style, and it reverts to the base color of that shape, which was green. Or if I go and take off the stroke color, it reverts to black, which is the base color. Or if I remove the line width from the style, it reverts to the base line width, which was 4. And you can find those by simply selecting the shape, and you can see the base color was green, the base stroke was black, and the base width was 4. Now on the styles, I can turn those off here, but that turns it off for every shape that that style is applied to. Now, if I don't want to do that, but I want to disable some part of that style on this one particular shape without affecting every shape that has that applied style, I can go and click these boxes on the shape editing. And what these do is these override the style with the base color of that attribute. So I'm overriding the style yellow for the base color of green, or the line width of black, line color of black, or the width of 4, or any combination of them. So see, these are what I'm calling include checkboxes. If you're editing a style, they determine what's included in that particular style. So whenever you apply that style, it determines which of these attributes are changed on the shape that it's applied to. If you have a shape selected and the heading says shape, then you're editing the shape, and these includes determine whether the base colors of that shape are included or override any selected style, any applied style, which we have down here. So other things, somebody mentioned if you select a shape, let's take that style off there. If you select a shape, the current manual makes it sound like you need to go here to styles and select your style to have it applied to this shape. Obviously it doesn't, because it deselects the shape and goes into style editing. This is a problem with how the manual is currently written, because it used to be written correct. The way you apply to an existing shape is, of course, to come down here on the shape editing mode and select your style to apply. Now, if you do have a style selected and you go to create a shape, let's see, let me deselect, let's see, and make sure we don't have a style applied on our default for new shapes, and then go in here and select a style and then create a new shape. With the style selected, creating that shape automatically creates the shape with that style applied. So if I go and unapply it, then it reverts back to the base colors, which are always shown whenever in the shape editing mode. You always see your base attributes, and then these two drop downs for style are what show you what styles are applied. Some people say they would expect to see the colors of the style applied, but that's when the style should be named appropriately, so that you know if it's a skin tone style, if it's a hair tone style, if it's highlight, shading, whatever, your style should be named appropriate so you know what it is. Now perhaps if we wanted to, we could make two little indicators out to the side with maybe a small number field that shows the fill line and line width attributes of that style out here to the right. If that would help people, I don't see that being a problem. These buttons could probably be shifted over here a little bit and maybe not quite as wide to make space for making some really small two color blocks and a line width. The only problem I can see there is people might thinking that they can just click on those to edit the style when you really need to go directly into style editing mode. So as far as just for the UI, I wouldn't want to introduce new functionality just to make the UI usable with the functionality that already exists. If people have trouble with the UI, we should focus on the UI and not worry about new functionality until everybody knows how to use the current UI. So let's see. Oh, another thing is, revert that, if you have a style selected, and I've been using the shape tool, but if you go and use the freehand tool with autofill, auto stroke, and auto close on, then it will apply it will apply your style, but because it leaves the shape selected, it jumps out of style editing and into shape mode. Okay, now what you can do with some of this is, let's see, let's go in and edit style 1 and say I want that to only be a fill. Let's go and make a new style and say I only want that to be a line width. Let's ramp it way up. And then deselect it. And then go in here. Actually, I want to go ahead and make that a, oops. Go ahead and make that, let's see. Go ahead and make that a stroke color as well. And then if I go in here and select, I can apply both of them, or I can only do one, and you'll see that it reverts to green because that's defining only a fill. And then once I've got those, I can still, if I have my shape selected, I can still go ahead and counter any one of those I wish. Now, one thing that is, I think, a bug is if you come down here and hit reset, it automatically checks the overrides for default for new shapes. So, say I create a shape with that, just like that. It's reset the default to white with a black outline. If I select that shape and go to apply a style, nothing happens. Now this is because that style, see, the fill has become where I can click it because the style I just did only affects the fill. So once I apply that, I can undo the override and there's my style. If I apply a style 2, then these two become available because that style defines a line color and a line width. So if I uncheck those, then they become available just as the style demanded. Another thing that was asked is how to take a shape that has one or more styles applied and make it a regular shape without applied styles but using those styles. Here I would take, with this shape I've got both styles applied, so I'd go in style 1, copy, select the shape, paste, style 2, copy that style, select the shape, and paste it. And this is pasting it from the saved style that's applied to the base style of the shape. So then I can go in here and take off both of these, and my shape stays exactly as it looked with both those applied, but now it is actually with only the base styles. See, if I just go and change the defaults for new shapes with this selected, or with the shape selected, editing, if I go change those, now it actually changes on the shape because it's not being overridden by a style. You'll notice that these check marks, if you don't have a style applied, these check marks really don't mean anything one way or the other. They're grayed out. It doesn't matter if they're checked or unchecked. If you have a style applied that applies to a check mark, then that allows you to go in and do the check marks. Really doesn't matter if you don't have a style applied. They're only there to override an applied style with your base style. And of course the fill and stroke check marks are all whether or not you have a fill or a stroke. If you have an applied style, let me get one of these shapes that, let's see, I'll go ahead and apply both these. It doesn't matter if you kill the fill, it kills all the fill, including an applied style fill. If you kill the stroke, it kills the stroke, no matter if it's the base or the applied style stroke. Now, hopefully that answers a lot of questions on how these checkboxes work, how styles work. Generally, when I make stuff, generally when I'm creating content, I'm using construction curves only. I come in here and define a style and apply my style, and then I just use the create shape tool and apply it like that. That's because the defaults for new shape is a free palette. This is where you're doing your color mixing for new shapes, whether you're using applied styles or just doing it with the base colors. This is just where you're pretty much mixing your style, all your elements and attributes of your style for any new shape you want to create by any means at all. So that's a quick rundown on all that. Hopefully that helps all the users, especially the long-term users that seem to have been frustrated with this. If you understand what's going on, it's very straightforward on what it's doing.